Hello, everyone. Welcome to, or welcome back to, the JW Review. My name is Mike Felker, and we are looking at study article number 25 from the June 2023 Watchtower Study Edition. And this is actually last week's article. This week's article is certainly interesting, but I had to jump in on this article. As many of you probably noticed, I've been on a little bit of a hiatus for the past couple of weeks, dealing with let's just say, some personal circumstances that have kept me away from doing this podcast. So I'm not fully back, but I'm sort of back, and it'll probably be at least a couple of weeks before I am fully back. So for those of you who checked in on me, thank you very much. If you want to know what's going on in my personal life, I'm not going to hash all that out here publicly, so feel free to contact me privately if you want to know what's going on. But overall, nothing for you to worry about, something for me to worry about. But this work here I believe is very, very important, and so many of you are regularly reassuring me of that, and I thank you for that. So without further ado, let's get into this article. So this is a article about elders, and it's advice for elders, and let's say it's really, really bad, dangerously bad advice for elders, and we're about to see why. But let's look at the key text, Hebrews 11:32, which says, "And what more shall I say? For time will fail me if I recount Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, as well as David and Samuel and the prophets." Okay, so paragraph 1, and this will set the stage for what we're talking about. Christian elders, now they're talking about Jehovah's Witness elders specifically, not elders in general, but Jehovah's Witness elders. Christian elders, or Jehovah's Witness elders, have been entrusted with the care of Jehovah's precious sheep. So they are to care for the sheep. These devoted men treasure their privilege to serve. So serve their brothers and sisters, and they work hard to be shepherds who really shepherd. Okay, so they have a read 1 Peter 5:2. We're going to read some context because it's so important here. So let's start in verse 1. "Therefore I exhort the elders among you as your fellow elder and witness of the sufferings of Christ, and a partaker also of the glory that is to be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God among you." Now, it doesn't stop there. "Overseeing, not under compulsion." So, overseeing, not under compulsion, but willingly, according to God, and not for dishonest gain, but with eagerness. This next verse is very important. Verse 3, "Nor yet as lording it over those allotted to you, but being examples to the flock." So don't lord your authority over them, but be an example. Verse 4, "And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the unfading crown of glory." All right, so don't lord, but be an example and shepherd. That's what you're to do as an elder. It's not complicated. You know who makes it complicated? Well, let's find out. Paragraph 2. "In caring for their responsibilities, elders face many challenges. For one thing, caring for a congregation involves a great deal of work. Tony, an elder in the United States, had to learn to be more modest when it came to the amount of work he accepted. He explains, "At the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, I took on more and more work to organize meetings and the ministry. But no matter how much I did, there was always more to do. Eventually, my Bible reading, personal study, and prayer started to slip." Earlier, if I'm pronouncing that right. An elder in Kosovo faced a different challenge. And this one right here really sets the stage for the article and the terrible advice they're about to give in this article. All right. When he was in a war zone, he's in a war zone, he found it difficult to obey theocratic direction. Okay, all right. You're in a dangerous situation. And these fallible men are giving you direction that could be putting your life at risk. Hence, it's difficult, could be putting your life at risk. So this elder is telling you for a reason that he's in a war zone. And this is where I start to tell you that it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous to be a Jehovah's Witness elder. And not for good reason, by the way. He says, my courage was tested when the branch office offered me an assignment to help the brothers and sisters in a dangerous area. I was afraid, and the direction did not seem practical. It did not seem practical. I would really want to know what specifically he was directed to do. And this is really, really important, because the Bible is not directing this elder to go do this dangerous thing for this congregation. No, it's the organization telling you to do something that could be very well risking your life, and it doesn't seem practical. The question is it practical? Was it practical? And the Watchtowers used this kind of language, and they've done so intentionally, when they say things like something may not appear practical or logical from a human standpoint. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what they say. But is it logical? Is it practical? And how can you evaluate that? But at the end of the day, as a Jehovah's Witness or as an elder, it doesn't actually matter if it's logical, if it's practical, if it's even wise. None of those even matter as an elder. Why? Because you are to receive the direction and obey it. Get in line, follow, do what you're told. Even if it puts your life in danger, do it anyway. We're going to skip down to paragraph 8. Before we get into the real clincher, this point is in passing. I had to read it several times because I'm just thinking, am I reading this right? Let's see what you think. Paragraph 8. Direct praise to Jehovah. All right, this is in bold. This is the bold part of the paragraph that you're supposed to glean this insight from, of how am I to direct praise to Jehovah as an elder? How do I do that? Well, this paragraph is supposed to tell you how. Look at what it says. When Gideon was honored for the victory over Midian, he focused the attention on Jehovah. Great, no problem. How might appointed men imitate Gideon? Okay, cool. So we're looking at Gideon's example, right? And we're going to imitate him, which means doing what he did, right? They can credit Jehovah for what they accomplish. Okay, great. Now, look at what they say next. For example, if an elder is commended for his teaching ability, he can direct attention to the source of the instruction, God's Word. Now, that sounds great, right? Doesn't stop there. Or to the training we receive from Jehovah's organization. In other words, men. So, going back to the start of this paragraph, this is to show us how to direct praise to Jehovah. And you know what they just did here? They taught you how to direct praise to men. If that's not taking glory away from Jehovah, mind you that Jesus isn't even mentioned here, but even putting that aside, taking glory away from Jehovah and giving it to men, this organization, they could have left out this part of the sentence about the training we receive from Jehovah's organization, and this would have been fine. But they had to prop up and exalt the organization. Now, again, I had to read this several times to make sure I wasn't missing it. But this is exactly what they're doing. They want to exalt and lift up the organization and direct your praise to them. That's exactly what they're doing here. Okay, now we're at the crux of the article. This is the terrible advice that's being given to elders. So, paragraph 10, elders should be ready to obey. And they cite here James 3:17. Ready to obey what? What does it say? But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruits, without doubting, without hypocrisy. This says wisdom from above. So is this paragraph just talking about obeying God's word? Well, let's find out. An obedient elder readily submits to what the scriptures say. Whoa, no problem there, right? Well, read on. An obedient elder readily submits to what the scriptures say and to direction from God's organization. An obedient elder readily submits. So whether it's logical, practical, wise, it does not matter. Get in line and obey. He thus sets a good example for others. Oh, well, setting the example, that's what we read in 1 Peter chapter 5. Not lording it over those who are under you, but being an example to them. But this is all about accepting direction from the organization and not questioning it, but obeying it. So that just gets shown as an example to the congregation to obey everything that they're told from the organization. Still, his obedience may be tested. He may, for instance, find it hard to keep up with the direction he receives. So you've got that chariot moving. Keep up with the chariot. Keep up with the chariot. You're going to get left behind. In some cases, he may wonder whether certain direction is really practical or wise. Okay, so this language here, this should really, really bother you. So this elder, he may wonder whether direction is practical or wise. Do you ever actually find out whether it's practical or wise? How do you find out if direction from this organization is practical or wise? Can you test it against what the scriptures teach? Are you biblically authorized to do that? I think you are. The Bible says to test the spirits. It says to examine everything carefully and hold fast to that which is good. So absolutely. So it's not that you just get to wonder whether it's practical. Is it practical or is it wise? And can't you make that determination? It's just silly for the Watchtower to be even bringing that up, because we all know what the right answer is here. And the answer is, it doesn't really matter. Just obey. When we say jump, you jump. And if you think I'm really stretching it there, read on. Or he may be asked to take on an assignment that could put his freedom at risk. And it's not just your freedom that's at risk here. If you're in a situation like that where your freedom is at risk, that could be putting your life at risk. So you're being asked, elders, to put your life in danger, your freedom in danger. Few things in this life are more important than your freedom. I think many of you would agree. So you're being asked to put these things at risk, even if it doesn't seem practical or wise. You're being asked to do that without a single citation of Scripture. So how can elders imitate Gideon's obedience in such situations? Now, this is where the Watchtower starts to cross over the line to not just being somebody you should obey, but as somebody who is acting like an inspired prophet. And if you think I am taking that too far, read on. Paragraph 11, listen carefully to direction and apply it. So they're making a parallel here between Gideon's situation and the situation of elders. Look at this. God told Gideon how to destroy his father's altar. God told Gideon where to build a new altar to Jehovah. God told Gideon which animal to sacrifice. So you get the picture here. Gideon did not try to second guess the direction. He just followed it. Well, yeah. The creator of the universe asked the all-knowing creator of the universe asked Gideon to do something. I mean, yeah. What else are you going to do? Are you going to say that you know better than the infallible creator of the universe? Okay. Today, elders receive instructions from the Bible? Nope. Today, elders receive instructions from Jehovah's organization by means of letters, announcements, and guidelines related to our spiritual and physical welfare. We love our elders for the faithfully following theocratic direction. Of course you love your elders. Of course you love them for following you at your every word, even if they think your advice is quite frankly stupid. You love them for doing that. The whole congregation benefits. So you see what they're doing here? They're paralleling inspired revelation of God that you are to obey with fallible, error-prone direction that you receive from the organization. If that's not indirectly claiming inspiration, I don't know what is. Paragraph 12, be willing to adjust. We love you, elders, but get in line, be willing to adjust. That's what they're saying. Recall that at Jehovah's request, Gideon reduced his army by more than 99%. He may have thought, is this change really necessary? Will this work? Nevertheless, Gideon obeyed. Well, again, why did Gideon obey? Because the creator of the universe told him these things. The God who never makes mistakes, the God who never falsely predicts the end of the world multiple times. God doesn't do that, but fallible men do that. Elders imitate Gideon. So they're crossing over this line into direct inspirational claims. So elders imitate Gideon by implementing recommended changes in theocratic direction. Okay, and they cite here Hebrews 13:17, and honestly, this is all they've got. This is it's not really much, but this is about all they've got. Obey your leaders and submit to them, for they keep watch over your souls as those who give an account, so that they will do this with joy and not with groaning, for this will be unprofitable to you. So there you go. Obey and submit to your leaders. Case closed. Follow the governing body and whatever they say. Well, it's not how it is. Look up the words. Don't just read Hebrews 13:17. Look at what these words mean. Peel back the onion layer and dig a little deeper. And you can do this for yourself. Take out a Bible dictionary. I would recommend a lexicon like BDAG. This is just the the pinnacle of Greek scholarship. There's other good ones too, but BDAG is the top tier of Greek lexicon. So check out what that word obey actually means. So you can read through all of this. I'll read through a couple of the definitions. To cause to come to a particular point of view or course of action. So to convince, to persuade or appeal to pacify or set at ease at rest, which is probably not as relevant here. To be so convinced that one puts confidence in. So to be convinced of someone, that you can put confidence in them. To depend on, to trust in. To be convinced, to be sure, to be certain. Now look at this. 3, this is where the definition is specifically applied to Hebrews 13:17. And look at what it says. To be won over as the result of persuasion. Now think about the last time that you had to get persuaded by something. It wasn't just a simple thing. You actually had to go through a reasoning process. And that's how you came to be persuaded by something. I assume that whatever you've come to believe today, you had to get to some degree persuaded and given good reasons for believing that thing. There's nothing here in this word about unquestioning obedience or obeying something even if it's unwise, impractical, illogical, or whatever. So the sub-definitions is be persuaded or believe, and then it's obey and follow. Then there's Hebrews 13:17 right there. And then the C definition is be persuaded by someone, take someone's advice, or obey, follow someone. And there's more here that you could check out, but that's the lexicon. That is how you don't just read a verse, but look into what the words actually mean. So, do you obey your elders? Yeah, but after you've been convinced of something. If an elder asks you to do something that's illogical or even immoral, you're not persuaded to do that thing, are you? I would hope you're not. I would hope you're not. I would hope that you have discernment and that you recognize there's an authority higher than your elders. And that's not the governing body. That is the Word of God. Because your elders are to submit to the Word of God. So if an elder tells you to do something that's unbiblical, such as to shun someone for the rest of their lives because they now believe something differently than you, you can discern that that is not a biblical or loving thing to do. So you're not persuaded by it, so don't do it. But if the elder opens up his Bible and tells you something that he's found in the Bible, maybe as a rebuke, then you should obey it because he's pointing you to God's Word and telling you what God's Word says and exhorting you to obey God's Word. But that's not what the Watchtower is talking about here at all. So here's the example they give. As an example, in 2014, the governing body changed the way Kingdom Hall and Assembly Hall construction projects are financed. Congregations would no longer repay a loan. See, that's how much hands the governing body has in Jehovah's Witnesses. So local congregations were handling this basically autonomously, as far as I can tell. Instead, congregations worldwide would pool their resources so that theocratic facilities could be constructed wherever they were needed, regardless of the local congregation's ability to pay. When Jose learned of this change, he doubted that it would work, thinking, not even one Kingdom Hall will ever be built. This is not how things are done in this part of the world. What helped Jose to support the direction? He says, the words of Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 reminded me to trust in Jehovah. Where did you get from Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, though, to trust what the governing body is telling you here? That's not in that text. And the results have been wonderful. Of course they've been wonderful, right? Of course that's what they would tell you in this article. Not only would we be building more kingdom halls, but we have learned to contribute in different ways so that an equalizing takes place. Well, isn't that wonderful that you got this nice little story where everything turned out right? But what about all the elders that had really good reasons for disputing what the governing body was telling them to do here? And what authorization does authority does the governing body have to take this away from the local congregations? I'm sure there's a plethora. I bet you there are 10 stories for every one story, 10 bad stories, disagreeable stories for every good story like this, of people who are dissatisfied with how this situation played out with the kingdom halls. Paragraph 13. During the Great Tribulation, elders will need courage to obey instructions they receive, regardless of the dangers involved. This is where this article, this direction for elders, is very, very, very bad advice. So not just is it wise, is it practical, is it logical, but is it dangerous? Even if it's dangerous, even if it's illogical, even if it's impractical, even if it's unwise, it doesn't matter. Get in line and obey. Get in line and obey. The instructions may relate to delivering a symbolic hailstone message and to surviving the attack of Gog and Magog. Well, there you have it. There's the terrible, 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 I can't tell you how terrible advice that the Watchtower is giving to elders. I hope if you are a Jehovah's Witness, I know there are faithful Jehovah's Witnesses who watch this. You know who you are. There are apologists who defend the organization who watch this. You know who you are. I know you're watching, and I thank all of you for watching. Please prayerfully think about what the Watchtower is telling elders to do and really telling you to do, to put your life at risk for what may be unwise and impractical advice from an organization that you know has made some grave mistakes. Do not put your life in the hands of this organization, and even more so, do not put your salvation in the hands of this organization. Put your salvation in the hands of the only one who can save you, the name above all names, the one who died on the cross for our sins, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the way, the truth, and the life. Trust in Him for your salvation, and trust the Scriptures for direction, infallible direction that will never let you down because it comes from the Creator of the universe. So, we'll wrap it up there. What did you think about this article? What did those in your congregation think about this article? What were the comments like? I wish I was a fly on the wall listening to this meeting, but tell me what happened, whether in the public comments below or if you want to shoot me a message. If you go down to the description, there's a number of ways for you to contact me if you want to contact me privately. And a lot of you have been contacting me privately, telling me about your story, your experiences, talking through theology, all kinds of great stuff. So please feel at liberty to contact me. I love hearing from you. We can talk in whatever way is appropriate for you. We can even do it anonymously. So please feel free to do that. If you want to support this work, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell. All of those things help with the algorithms. Please leave a review in Apple podcast and hit that 5-star. That also helps the algorithms and getting this work recognized and noticed by people who are searching for it. Also, please share this with people. And if you want to support this work, you can do so in the links below to Patreon by becoming a monthly supporter to help me keep the lights on and keep this thing going. So I don't know if I will be here for next week or a couple of weeks from now. We'll just have to see. But I thank you for watching. It's great to sort of be back, and I'll see you next time.